Welcome back to WRPL. It's the podcast where we talk about all the things we were watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
What's up, Steve?
Not much, Ben. What's new with you?
Nothing, man. Just playing hooky from work and watching stuff and being lazy. It's been good times.
Perfect. Living the dream over there.
This week's main topic is Captain America Brave New World. Got a couple of other things, but as always, start with a roll.
And here we go. 18!
Oh.
We have a 10% chance to beat that?
Oh, God.
Is the math right?
Where'd it...
Yeah, 10%. Nat 1, baby!
I'm so fucking sick of this.
You are bad at rolling.
This is why I don't play. It's the only reason.
No, I need to get you in the game, and all the failures make it more fun.
Fuck. Okay, well, you won, so you get to go first.
Hooray.
Steve, what have you been consuming this week?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you about an experience I had. So when my baby came as a congratulations present, my good friend Ben over there.
It was just a birthday present.
Or a birthday present, whatever it was.
Because it's around the same time.
Sure,
Close.
Yeah. Either way, you were kind enough to give me my wife and I gift certificates to a...
well, it was supposed to be for me and you, but...
a float tank, a sensory deprivation, if you will, and it took 2 years to finally use these.
Yeah, you were getting real close.
These gift cards, but anyway, we finally booked it. We made it a Valentine's Day sort of like night out for us. We got someone to watch my son while we went out, and it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, saltwater, right?
Yeah. So for those who don't know, you get in this tank. The first time I saw it was in Daredevil, and it's kind of like, it looked like a coffin. And I was like, that's cool. This is not a coffin.
I bet it looks more like an MRI machine or something more medical.
I would say it looks more medical, but more like just a pool with 4 walls and a ceiling. It's actually, or more like probably like the precog tubs or whatever in Minority Report. Because it's basically imagine a very wide bathtub, and then you're just enclosed. And
could you touch wall to wall?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not. It's like a twin bed, maybe.
Yeah, it's not huge.
Okay.
But the ceiling is pretty high up, so I could stand up all the way and not bump my head or whatever.
How deep?
It's like, I think they said it's 11 inches of water.
Okay.
So if I just like kind of went to sit up, my chest and stuff would be out. It's not a ton of water. It's just enough to sort of like put you in place.
Mm-hmm.
And it was much different than I expected. Like, got showered, got clean before you got in. They were like, you can wear trunks if you want, but most people get in naked because, like, because you can wear clothes, whatever you're comfortable with, but like that salt will get into the clothes and make it hard to clean or whatever, or just be a pain, whatever. But I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get the whole experience. I'm going butt naked. But there was like light options. If you didn't like, if the dark freaked you out, you had like low lighting, so you could still see. There was a music option as well, that had like different volume settings.
Is it more like sounds of the ocean or the wind blowing, or is it fucking Party Rock by LMFAO?
No, it was just like one sort of calm melody, like just on repeat.
Okay.
No like white noise or whatever, anything like that. So for the first like 2 minutes, I just had it in silence, and it was just completely dark. And I was like, I don't know if I want to like, if I'm in the right headspace for this quite yet. I'm used to like putting on sound when I fall asleep, and maybe that I'm gonna do kind of that thing in order to put myself in the right calm, relaxed space. And boy howdy, did I felt so relaxed. I didn't like move. It felt so neat, kind of just floating there. I couldn't see anything. I had no concept of time. Like I kind of knew I was at times I would think about stuff and I'm like, all right, I've probably been in here like 15 minutes or 30 minutes. Like I got to be near the end. But
was it just a half-hour thing?
No, it was an hour long.
Okay.
But so and I would just be thinking about whatever. But then at times, like, let me try and clear my mind, and I would breathe deep, and then I just kind of push all those thoughts out. And then I'm not lying here. I saw some stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah. And it was weird because I would close my eyes and open them and I would still see it. Because, I mean, there would be times where I would be kind of zoning out and I think my eyes were closed. But then I would blink and I'm like, oh, they were open this whole time.
Wow.
It was really weird. Now, it's not like.
No talking dragons leading you through a
No,
magical
no, it
forest.
wasn't anything.
Colors and shapes?
Colors and shapes. It wasn't anything psychedelic. And even. It wasn't like a kaleidoscope of colors. It was just
like 2001 blasting through the universe.
Yeah. I wish. I'd be so interested to be on drugs and do it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, when they were doing the whole orientation, or when not actually when I was in the orientation, but I had to sign a waiver that was like, if you take a shit in here, you have to pay $2,500 for us to clean this.
Nice.
I'm like, I would never do anything wrong. I was afraid to eat hours beforehand because I was like, I just don't want anything in my system.
Just in case, yeah.
But anyway, I did not shit in the tub.
Good. Did they say anything about, like, if you are taking drugs, we don't recommend this? Or
no,
they said, if you want to run to your car and, smoke that spliff real quick.
The two people who were there who kind of showed us around, they were very, like, namaste, kind of like hippie people. I would not be surprised if they know kind of the gig, they do it themselves. So no, they didn't say anything about that. Anyway, but the things I saw was just at random times I would get this like blue, like this dark blue hue, and then I would just see these shapes. It looked kind of like a lava lamp kind of thing, and it wasn't necessarily continuous or it's not like I had an out of body experience or anything. It wasn't
Little Dicky things.
No, it wasn't all that exciting, but it was just kind of like I did feel so relaxed, and I was just like watching the things like move around, and it was just like very calming and cool. And I was like, oh, this is kind of neat that this is happening. Like I'm in pitch black. I don't know what I'm picking up, and I thought like, oh, maybe it's just something like. I'm just watching those like eye squiggles you see sometimes, like randomly.
Floaters.
I don't know how they like function in the dark.
Yeah.
Because have you ever just like closed your eyes and pressed really hard?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And then like you start seeing
It was
stars.
like a pastime as a kid.
Yeah, of course. So you can. I imagine maybe it has something to do with that. Whatever it was still super cool. I asked my wife if she saw anything. She's like, no, I didn't see a goddamn thing. I was like, oh, we had different experiences.
But did she find it relaxing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Her only note was she wished the water was a little bit warmer, because the water's kind of like body temperature, so you're not supposed to be like hot or anything.
Sure.
But if because you're floating, there's parts of you that naturally stick out, like the top of your face, maybe your belly, your junk, whatever. So if you have enough of that sticking out, and you're like, oh, I'm in an enclosed space, but there's kind of a breeze in here, But yeah, the hour went by. We felt great afterwards. There was a little space like that we could hang on the back. They gave us fruit, and they're like, "Oh, there's some complimentary coffee or tea over here." So I had some tea, and we just sat. And there was like journals of people who had like had experiences there before, and they wrote about it, so you could read about their experiences, or like they'll leave a little quote about like letting go of hate or something like that.
Yeah.
It was all very.
I would have wrote something like scratchy penmanship, like when someone's been
follow the number 23.
Yeah, it's like don't go through the red door.
Well, we'll go.
Okay.
Because I think you dig it.
Yeah, I want to try it.
I would say everyone should try it once, unless you have a fear of enclosed spaces or the dark.
Nah.
Definitely not. My wife doesn't like enclosed spaces, but there was 3 rooms. 2 rooms were the same size, and then she had the room with like the biggest tub. It was like twice the size of mine. So they were like, you're able to actually like, when you're floating, some people spin around and then the session will be over and the door wasn't where it was before because they didn't realize that they've spun around.
Nice.
I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Do they do couples ones in that bigger one, or are they like, no, you'll start touching each other?
Yeah, everyone has to go by themselves. Okay. There's no sharing because people are gonna fuck in there.
Yep.
Anyway, it was a It was real nice, good time. Glad I did it. Would do it again. I could see it being like, oh, maybe this will be my every 6 months treat myself
Yeah, did you
kind of
feel
thing.
relaxed afterwards? Like it made a difference?
Yeah, I mean, my back was hurting a little bit that day, and then when I got out, like, didn't notice it, and it felt pretty good. I woke up the next day, and my back was hurting
Yeah, yeah,
again.
yeah.
So I don't, I'm not pitching this as like, oh, this will cure your pain, even though people in those journals were going. When I was done, I felt my pain went away, and felt
Mm-hmm.
much better. Um, I don't know any of the science behind it, or if there is any science, or if
You
it's
know.
all just like in your head. But I went in with an open mind, saw some stuff, got real relaxed, had a good time. The hour both flew by, and also like I didn't feel like it was over so quick that it was like a waste of money. I felt like for $100, at least for a first time experience, it was worth it. Even though I didn't pay for it, you did. But either way, thank you.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you got to do it. I even though I took some time off and been playing hooky, I didn't watch as much as I should have. I don't know what's my problem. Every time I turn something on, I just go straight to YouTube. It's just easier to digest a bunch of 10 to 18 minute long things and do that for 4 hours than watch one or two movies. But I watched Yellowjackets came back. Season 3, episode 1 and 2 were available on Paramount Plus. I do believe they will be the only episodes available on Paramount Plus because they want you to add the Showtime app to the bundle. So I may have just like teased myself real bad. But, great show. Love all these characters and happy to see them back. There is progression of things, but there's also, like, I don't know, maybe it was a little slow to start, but I'm interested to see it where it goes. Love to see my girl Christina Ricci again. Love Misty. She's having some problems this season. She's something big went down. I know you didn't see season 2, but something big went down, and she's having trouble coping. And drunk, dorky Misty is very funny, and I love it. But yeah, I can't really talk too much about it because I don't want to spoil it for you, because eventually these seasons will come to Netflix at some point.
Or somewhere, yeah. As soon as I can see them, I'll watch them, but until then.
But yeah, that's all I'll say about that.
All right. I read a book. I finished it like 2 weeks ago or something. I meant to talk about it last week, but I didn't. I read Piranesi? I'm going to go with Piranesi.
Okay.
By Susanna Clarke. It is a story of someone who lives in this labyrinth and is exploring it. It's kind of like in this labyrinth, there's like waves on like the lower floors. There's kind of like there's tides that come in and out. He's exploring all these like rooms and doors, and it seems to go on kind of infinitely, but he's mapping it out kind of as he goes. There's one other person. That also is in the labyrinth, and they meet like every Tuesday and Friday and just kind of like trade notes and stuff. And he has like no memory before the labyrinth, but there's also like some wildlife, so like he fishes there, and like that's where he gets his food, and like birds come on it rains in there. So it's just like this magical world filled with like statues and stuff. Like he goes into rooms, it's not like this is the room where this is the massive garden filled with, or this is the door that leads you to Narnia. There's none of that. It's just like rooms upon rooms that just kind of have like statues and stuff.
Okay.
And as the story continues, sort of some mysteries unfold. He finds some clues. The person who's with him kind of goes like, you may run into this other person. If you do, don't listen to them. They're evil. They will try and kill you and me. So we have to be on the lookout for that. And then he starts questioning that. And, well, who's this other person? Where are they from? And then you kind of get glimpses into the real world or our world and then this world and how they kind of come to be. The closest thing but it's also interesting because it's written in like journal format, like this guy's journals. So it's not traditionally like and so Piranesi said this to him, and then he said this. It's just like him taking notes throughout the day. But the closest I would say to its vibe is kind of like The Alchemist. Do you remember that book that I talked about ages ago.
Nah, you
The
read too
Alchemist.
many books.
Yeah. So The Alchemist is a very famous, popular book about like a boy who like goes on this journey and like kind of like discovers God and just makes people feel really good. It's kind of like uplifting and stuff. This book, it's not like a super exciting adventure. It's a relatively short book. It's more about like the mystery where like not a ton goes on. Um, but as you pick up the clues, it's kind of, I would describe the labyrinth as the world between worlds. Do you remember when I talked about Narnia and
Sure.
like the kids put on the ring and they go to
Mhm.
this like forest that has all these puddles and they jump
Yeah.
in the puddles and that's what takes them to
Mhm.
other other worlds. It's kind of like that.
Okay.
But you get to the end of the book and they don't explain like exactly what this place is or how these people discovered how to get there. And it doesn't say it leads anywhere else. It's just like our our world and then this.
Hmm.
Um, so it like doesn't really give you answers, but at least tells you who this character is and how he got there and who these other people are. And it was pretty good. It was pretty interesting. I recommend it. It's super popular on like TikTok and stuff. And I think it won like a woman's author of the year
Hmm.
award or something like that. She's written a couple a couple other books. Some of them I'd be interested to read, but this was kind of like a big deal when it came out, and I recommend it. It's only like 200 pages. You'll get through it in like 2 days if you really wanted to. So yeah, check out Piranesi
Cool.
just for the vibes alone.
I picked up a show. I swore it was a new show. My buddy recommended it to me, and it's like, oh, that's a new thing on Netflix. Cool. But apparently it came out in 2023, and I guess it just got slept on, maybe. But Onimusha, it's a 8
Right.
episodes animated samurai show based off of a Capcom video game. A
I
game
remember the game.
I played the
I never
first
played it.
three. They were fun. They were this nice bridge between Resident Evil and Devil May Cry. You know, maybe the controls aren't as refined, but it was a lot better than those old Resident Evil games. And uh, bigger attacks, more magic. You know, it's
Were you just like a samurai
samurai hack
fighting
and
other
slash
people, or like you were fighting
demons.
demons?
Yeah, you had a gauntlet on that sucked in the souls, and it was very simplistic. And even in the third game, there's like time travel stuff with Jean Reno. They use his face. That was like the gimmick of Onimusha is each movie would use a classic movie star of either the past or more modern. But it got expensive and it was hard to like do re-releases and things
Sure.
like that because you had to keep paying these famous people to use their face. But the show is just, it's a man, he's gonna stop someone who has like given himself over to these demons, and he's gonna use it to kind of destroy the world and remake it how he wants because it's so interesting. That's all he cares about is how interesting things are, and burning cities and taking over is a very interesting thing to do. So he has his gang. He gets the gauntlet from these monks, and he has like 33 days to bring it back. And one of the monks goes with him, and then he's with this band of like, there's a falconer, there's a tarot card reader, and like a map herbalist guy,
Mhm.
and then some others that actually turn out to be evil. They go and they're just like killing demons. And if you like Blue Eye Samurai, it looks a lot like that. It's that computer animated
Sure.
look, but it's a lot more detailed. Like Blue Eye Samurai was kind of soft. You didn't see a lot of wrinkles in everybody's face. This
Yeah.
one, you're going to see a lot more strands of hair, and I think it's just as dynamic, but some of the stuff was really fucking cool. I put on my personal Instagram, which anybody
I saw
listening,
it.
you know, him slicing up a dude and just turning him into paste. It was amazing. And there's just a lot of that. Every episode just has, I'm the new bad guy popping out onto the road, you know, to stop you to getting to your destination. There's a butler of the main bad guy that's just like very proper. He's like a white guy. His name's Alfred, but he's always just that kind of guy who's just like, yes, oh, very good, sir. And he's like really over the top and will like get in your face and bug eyes. He's like kook. It's really funny. But it's just like a good, easy 8 episode watch. Really bloody. Good time.
Did you like the story, or you just was more invested in like this is a fun watch because of the
story was
action?
pretty basic. It's like we got to stop the bad guy. Bad guy makes demons out of people. You know, we got to save this little girl. We got to keep ourselves alive. It was very kind of by the numbers. Blue Eye Samurai kills it when it comes to story,
Mm-hmm.
and this was very, very simple and just feels like a video game story. I got the powerful thing to stop the bad guys. That's about it. But still fun enough to watch. It's a good show to watch, like on your phone when they're walking and talking. Yeah, just scroll, 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 and then here comes a cool fight scene. Put your phone down, watch that.
Fair enough.
But yeah, good times.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Sometimes, yep. And there's a new Onimusha game coming out. They're like doing a remaster of the second one, and there's a new one. I think it's like part 6.
So do you think you're gonna pick it up?
Maybe it just depends. Are they taking it more like a Sekiro or Neo? You know, like
Yeah.
Souls-like games, or are they going to be more fun hack and slash like they used to be? What's the balance there? Because I could see them totally going, "This is the popular thing. Let's do that."
Sure. Yeah. All right. So for my next thing, did you happen to beat a video game?
Dude, I just got the shotgun. I played one time since we
Okay.
talked about it, but we can talk about it.
Well, I won't go into too much about it because we'll save it for a later pod, but I beat High on Life, the free game this month. So all I'll say is I loved this game. I think it's super funny. I think it's a ton of fun to play. Some of the guns, like I didn't necessarily use them a lot. I mostly used Kenny or Main, but they were like all the guns were different, had uses, and were fun to play with. So it would fit anyone's play style. And it's nice and short. I was looking for a game that's just fun, and it's not Baldur's Gate or Breath of the Wild or whatever. It's like I gotta pour 40, 150 hours in this thing. But I was like, I beat it in a week essentially, and it was just fun all the way through. All the little like jokes you discover, and all the voice actors in this are voice actors I love and who have such interesting, like recognizable, fun voices.
Smiling Friends dude has shown up so many times, and I fucking love that guy's voice.
And I don't remember like the backstory of when the release of this game. Like I think it came out around COVID times, and Justin Roiland got in a bunch of trouble.
Yep.
And so it just like kind of came out, and then no one talked about it and disappeared. But man, I think this game, I think it's smart to have it free now, because like everyone I think needs to discover this game and play it, because this game is great. It deserves a sequel. I want to keep playing in this world. My only like major complaint is that the enemy, like the minions, they're not super. You're fighting the same ones every single level all the time, but I was never like bored of fighting them. But all the boss fights are super fun. I think the ending is kind of just abrupt, but satisfying. There's like plot twists that I didn't quite see coming, and like not super deep emotional stuff, but I was like, oh wow, like this game is like actually trying to do something other than tell like dick jokes. There's like thought and story and like emotionality here. Like that's pretty cool. So I highly recommend this game. I really enjoyed it. I look forward to you beating it in 8 months.
We'll see, because it's obviously not my type of game. So jumping and dashing and then grappling with a knife in first person is just like not my forte. I expect when I'm in first person to just be, I can understand a jump, but I'm on the ground and I don't have to like keep myself in the air because acid is rising quickly. Like I don't expect that in first person games, and it feels like I'm just flailing and I'm just getting by luck. And like, did I make that jump, or is the game just forgiving and goes like, okay, I guess you got close enough, you made that jump. I can't see my feet, how do I know if I made that jump? But I am having fun.
Yeah, I know if first person shooters aren't your thing, I get it, but this isn't Call of Duty. I think this is as simple and stupid in a good way that you can make a first person shooter and make it like easily accessible and easy to play. So I think since you don't play them, there might be an adjustment period, but I think by the end, I think you could enjoy it. And sometimes it's good to get out of your comfort zone and try a different style of game.
But also, if I stay in my comfort zone, there's a bunch of games I don't have to worry about, and then I could focus on just what is the best of my taste.
It's just there's not a ton of comedy games
No, that's
ever.
true. Yeah.
So having one and it also be really clever and good,
Hmm.
I think this game is
Yeah, when was the last comedy
special.
game? I'm sure there's indie games that are maybe more funny, but like,
I mean,
I
there's
don't
like
know.
cartoony games like Crash Bandicoot and stuff that comes out. It's like that's kind of
But
funny,
that's
but
like
that's like
silly cartoon.
Yeah,
I'm
but
thinking like
this one has
Conker's
like
Bad Fur Day, where you had to fight like a shit monster, and he said shit and bitch in it. You know?
yeah, uh, yeah. I mean, I can't tell you.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty.
There's probably a reason why they don't make a lot of them, but it
Well,
consistently made me laugh.
it's hard to write a million jokes for a game, and some of them you may not even hear because you didn't talk to this one random person. Or but yeah,
If you like Rick and Morty style humor, it's basically a Rick and Morty game without Rick and Morty.
absolutely, yeah. I bet if Justin Roiland didn't get fired, they eventually would have gone to this world. You would have seen, the first person through the first person thing, and they would come across Rick and Morty, and I'm sure it would have happened, but now probably not.
Probably not.
Okay, I got one last thing before we get to our main topic.
I have one last thing before we get to our main topic as well.
Worked out perfectly. I watched The Gorge on Apple TV Plus with Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy and Sigourney Weaver. I kind of really like this movie.
Really?
I think it was pretty fun. I really like them. They're cute. The actual Gorge stuff isn't that interesting, but visually it's got some cool looking shit. So basic premise: there's a gorge in some place. They say it's probably in the northern hemisphere, or it's probably like north of America. It's probably Canada or something like that. There's a huge gorge. Stuff comes out of it, and you got to use your post with all these guns, and there's bombs hanging in case things climb up, and then you have someone on the opposite side that is called like the East Post, and this has been going on since like end of World War II, and we've just had this dynamic with some other country, probably Russia, just manning these posts. You can't talk to each other, and it's pretty far.
Yeah.
He's kind of a great sniper and doesn't have any friends or family or anything. And so he's perfect for the job. No one's going to miss him. And she's one of the best snipers as well. Her dad is dying of cancer, and she's doing it for the love of shooting and love of country or whatever. It doesn't matter. They're just like perfect for this position. But then they start getting kind of bored, and so they start talking to each other and with dry erase markers, and they're telling little jokes. And there's one part where she's teaching him how to play chess, and then he's teaching her how to play drums.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? This is such a weird thing to put in. Like, they're known for that, but like they didn't put in a Fantastic Four reference or a Mad Max reference.
That's the only thing I know about this movie. I saw a clip of them doing an interview where they talked about like, we asked them to take this out of the movie because they were just like, we're known for this. This is going to be so stupid.
Me and
they told us no, and but it apparently was written before they were cast.
Okay,
so it just happened to work out that way. But it's like it's really silly to see Queen's Gambit and Whiplash doing the same thing.
Yeah, me and my roommate, we looked at each other like, is this a thing? And like, yeah, it seems like a thing. So yeah, then they shoot some things. They're called the Hollow Men. They don't know what's going on down there. But eventually they can't take it anymore, and he rigs like a bazooka to shoot a line over to her. He repels over. They are just in love. They fuck. They eat. It's just a good time. But they're like, oh, got to do my patrol, and I got to call in on the radio, and has to go back. But the monsters are climbing up, set off some of the bombs, cuts his line, and he plummets into the gorge. She's got to jump after him, and they just start killing everyone. Inside the gorge, it reminds me of like Silent Hill, but Annihilation. So there's some really cool visuals. Most of the Hollow Men, they look like Davy Jones' locker people, but instead of fish life, it's plants. So they're just like
You're
a
talking
bunch
like Pirates of the Caribbean
yes.
people, yeah.
Yeah,
But
Davy Jones and all of his
yeah,
like
yeah.
seamen. But they're
Just for
like
people who don't know Davy Jones, Pirates of the Caribbean,
that'd be weird.
or the singer from the Monkees.
Yes, they look a lot like the singer for the Monkees, but trees. So they're not like super duper interesting looking, but once they get down there, there's like weird amoeba people that look like big hunks of boogers. It's really kind of goopy and gross down there, and it would make for a pretty excellent video game actually. I would put this on the list of movies that feel like adaptations of a video game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they fight and they get back out. They realize, what's going on in the gorge is a really bad thing, and dot dot dot. Not to spoil it in case anybody wants to watch it, but I had a pretty good time. It's not the greatest thing, and it feels like an elevated streaming movie. There's a lot of trash, and it's directed by the guy who did like Doctor Strange, Scott Derrickson.
Scott Derrickson, yeah.
Yeah, so it's well made, well acted. They're cute together. I dug it. I'll give it a B minus. Sure, why not?
All right. I probably still won't watch it, but if I'm ever bored one day or my wife weirdly asked to watch it, then I'll watch it. But.
Yeah, if you want to watch a sci-fi action movie with a little bit of romance in it, there you go.
So, can I ask just one question about so he goes over there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I imagine, you said they're bored, so they're not seeing a ton of these things, but is there they're never out during the day or something like that?
No,
or it's like
they'll come out. It's just
it was
we
just
don't
so was there any sort of thought into when he went over, or the movie didn't care about that? I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna risk it and go now.
We're gonna go over because it's like they're stationed for a year and then they get replaced. But when you get replaced, you just get killed. You get taken off site and then they just kill you because they're like, this has been going on. There's been 16 U.S. presidents since we started this project, and none of them even know what the gorge is. This is so secret that nobody knows about it, and once you're done, you're gonna get killed because nobody can know about it. But it's actually
they know they're gonna get killed?
No.
Okay.
No. It's just it's not a government thing. It is a company that is doing it.
Got it.
Yeah. But yeah, when he goes over there,
so how did that company get paid for a thing that no one knows exists?
They're doing research on what's down there to make super soldiers.
Okay, whatever.
Because the monsters down there, they've been alive since World War II. They sent down battalions on horses and with swords, and nobody ever came back out. And they've just been alive down there for hundreds of years, or hundreds of years, like 70 years, 70, 80 years. And they were like, oh, well, what we're doing down there, it leaked and it got out and it, killed everybody who was doing it, because it was like Oppenheimer's doing his thing. We're doing our own thing here. We're trying to create something else. And then it got out. We can't get down there without, getting contaminated ourselves, but we send down drones to collect samples because we want to use this. Imagine having super soldiers that are made of trees, even though these tree monsters get shot with one bullet and they die. I don't know how super soldiery they really are, but
gotcha.
They're just, doing tests and stuff.
Well, I think Super Soldier is a perfect transition to our next film. I watched Past Lives. Yeah, for those who may not know, Past Lives, ep144 film, nominated last year or this year? I don't even remember. Last year?
I don't know.
Fuck it, who cares?
It's been nominated.
Yeah, was nominated for Best Screenplay and Best Picture. Was on a lot of top 10 a year lists. It's the story of two people who knew each other as kids in Korea, and then one of them went off to live in New York, and he stayed behind in Korea, and it's just them reconnecting years later. And I really like this movie. It's very simple, and it's quiet, and it's just kind of like a little slice of life, will they, won't they film, but it's never... It's hard to explain. It's just so when I guess not hard to explain. So the movie opens and then they're 9 years old and they're best friends, and you find out that she's leaving soon. She's her family's moving to Canada, and this is all based on the director's life. It's like loosely based. She did all this stuff. She lived in Korea and then moved to Canada. Eventually moved to New York to become a writer, and then eventually married a Jewish man, and eventually like turned that story into this movie. So yeah, they hang out one last time, and they part, and then it's 12 years later, and so this is like 2008, let's say. I don't remember the year per se, and she is like talking to her mom, and they're just like looking up people that she used to know in Korea. And I was like, "Oh, mom, what was the name of that boy who like I went on one date with when we were like 9 or whatever?" And like, "Oh, this guy." And so she looks him up, and it's like she finds out that he went looking for her a couple months ago. Like her dad is like a filmmaker, so he like posted on that film's Facebook like, "Hey, I'm looking for your daughter." Um, so they start talking on video chat, and immediately they kind of like fall back into their like childhood friends, and you can tell they're kind of falling for each other. But like because of he joined the military, so he can't leave Korea, and and she's very busy with her dreams of like writing plays and stuff. So it's like, oh, we'll see each other in a year or a year and a half tops, but they talk like every day, and you're just like, oh man, it's and like every time they talk to each other, you immediately buy that these two are in love with each other. Like they are so cute and adorable together, but they never talk about anything like sexual
Mm.
or anything that sort of is just like a nudge nudge like, oh well, maybe one day when you get here we can kiss or anything like that. It's just like they're just talking about what's going on in their lives, and it's just like so nice. um but then she's kind of like, I'm not focusing on my work, we should take a break from talking, which just devastates him. And so she's just like, look, we'll just do it for a year, and then when everything's like calmed down, we'll talk soon. And he's like, okay, if that's what you want. 12 years go by.
Mm.
They don't speak.
So now this is 2 sets of 12 years?
2 sets of 12
Okay.
years. And so she's married now. She married a white Jewish man who also he writes books, um, and he's just stayed in Korea, and now he's coming to New York for a vacation, and so they've agreed to see each other, um, and they run into each other, and you just spend like 2 days with them, and they just kind of walk around and talk, and you just get this vibe of like, is she going to leave her husband, or is he going to move to New York are they going to run away to Korea? And her husband is like cool with them hanging out because he's not necessarily worried, but at the same time he's like, he is this handsome man who like represents a part of you that you haven't gotten to experience as much because like you have Korean friends here or whatever. You are Korean, but like he represents like Korea, where you are Korean. Like they talk about that kind of thing. And she's like, they go on their thing, and she's just like, yeah, you know what? You were right. He's here to see me. He's not here for a vacation. So the whole time you're like, are they going to kiss? Are they going to express their love for each other? And I won't spoil it in case you want to see it, but the whole movie just made me feel good. And you're kind of rooting for them to be together, but also like, well, she's married. Like you don't,
and he's not a bad guy.
And he's not a bad dude by any means. Like he's learned some Korean. He enjoys their food. Like he gets along with her parents. So he's like, they're perfect for each other. But this movie is like not only well written, and it's like relatively short, and I was so engaged by like their relationship that I like didn't look at my phone. And like for anyone who's ever been in a relationship and like how it makes you feel, like this is, I think it can bring a lot of that stuff back. But this movie I really loved how it was shot. The cinematography is great. There's a bunch of shots in this like, man, that's a good shot. That's a good shot. Wow, that's really good looking. But it's all like very simple. It's not flashy. There's not a ton of camera movement. But when it is, it like serves a purpose. And like the way that there was a bunch of wide shots of like the New York's like skyline behind them as they're like having a conversation. It's all like, we've seen so many movies set in New York, but this is the first time I was like, wow, New York's like kind of pretty, but it's just like buildings. It was a real. I think Celine Song is the director. She should make a commercial for like tourism for New York City. She shot it really well. I was very impressed by like every aspect of this movie. So I highly recommend Past Lives if you're in the mood to watch something not action, super dramatic, but like just makes you kind of feel something.
You know I don't like to feel
Yeah,
things,
and
Steve.
don't get me wrong, I like didn't cry, but it felt good all the way through. And the last sort of um, 2 minutes, I was just like, oh, this is so well done, without spoilers. And it's not even like it's so simple, but it's so simple in how like you did something so like, easy, but you made it look so effortless and so effective. I was like, this movie's great. Uh, so, Past Lives, check it out.
Cool. What's it on? HBO?
Currently streaming on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay. Cool. Let's get to our main topic. Captain America, Brave New World, renamed from New World Order. Probably a good idea. A lot of bad connotations with that.
Sure.
I don't know, 60th Marvel movie since their start. I don't know what I think they're not at 40 yet. I want to say this is like 38.
I was gonna say 32.
Yeah, no, I thought Guardians was like 36, but look it up while I
Go
talk
for
about
it.
it.
You tell the folks what this movie's about.
So, Steve's gone. It's all Falcon now. It's all Sam Wilson. He's doing his thing. People like him as Captain America. A dude who was on his ass and threw him in jail not too many years ago is now president of the United States. That's Harrison Ford. And, wants him to bring the Avengers back. Then there's an assassination attempt by one of the first super soldiers besides Steve, and it turns out it seems that he's maybe was controlled by someone to do it. So it's up to Falcon it's up to Captain America and his new partner, New Falcon, to stop it. And then celestial adamantium stuff and blah blah blah. Steve, you're Marvel's #1 hater.
It's not true.
You hate all things Star Wars and Marvel.
Looks like they're up to 35, by the way.
Okay, cool. I know you didn't give a shit about this movie, but did you enjoy this movie?
Did I enjoy it? For the most part, I'm leaning, yeah. I went in and I think going in not really caring kind of helped. And I've always liked the Captain America movies the best out of all the MCU movies. But I don't think this movie's good. It's just I don't know if it's as bad as people are making it out to be. But there's a lot of issues with it. That being said, I think it just kind of felt like an old school kind of action movie, but not in a good way. Okay. As in they're using the old formula that doesn't quite translate now.
Okay. Looking at the original Iron Man, you go, oh, look at the things we do with Iron Man now.
Yeah, I would say this feels like a movie that would have been closer to something in Phase 1.
Okay.
Because if you look back, I know people love the first Iron Man movie.
Because it's one of the best.
But I think it's very simple.
Yeah.
I think, as the phases went along, 2 and 3, I think are probably better than Phase 1.
Sure.
But if I feel like this movie kind of fits more in that formula where versus the bigger, newer stuff that's
even things like Black Widow is a movie that should have been made right after Civil War, and it still kind of has a newer feel. They have big action sequences in that, and it doesn't even match up to that. I feel the whole time you're watching it, okay, we're going to have a big dogfight scene at the Celestial, and we're going to have a big Red Hulk fight. And you're just waiting and waiting and waiting for it. And every action scene up to that is just him doing some kicks, using his wings as shields. It's not all that interesting, not very dynamic. It gets a little boring until they have their big dogfight and shooting down missiles with his shield. It's not bad. I don't hate this movie, but I just find it a little dull. And it could have been the next Winter Soldier. It's supposed to be this political espionage sort of story, but if it really feels like they had the dogfight scene and the Red Hulk scene, that was already committed. They were doing the CG on that stuff before they even had a script for this movie. And then they did and had rewrite after rewrite and reshoots and test audiences not liking it, and then spent so much time. There's characters that are completely cut out of this. Like the Serpent Society was a much bigger deal in original versions. There's a Happy Meal toy for one of the characters that isn't even in this movie because their Happy Meal toys, they were already on schedule, but this kept getting pushed back. So McDonald's said, we don't give a fuck. We're released. This is our month's things. And some of those characters aren't even in the final product. So you can tell, not as bad as, like, say, Madam Web. This has been re-edited and reshot to holy hell. But it's still pretty cohesive. For whatever they had to... I mean, unless they just shot the whole first half of the movie, if this is like bits and pieces of other stuff, they did a pretty good job weaving it together and not being total ADR mess. You know, you look at those scenes from Craven and Madam Web of bad mouth lip syncing and people, you could tell it's ADR because you only see the back of their head. I didn't feel there was a lot of that in this, and I think it's a pretty cohesive movie. It just feels lacking.
Yeah, there's some magic that's not here. I mean, I think some of the problems with the movie are I didn't care about like any of the side characters. Like I think Sam Wilson, I think he actually did a good job as Captain America, and I could see him totally leading a Captain America franchise. I think, Anthony Mackie may not be has this natural like boy next door charm that Chris Evans does, but he's also a totally different character.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed him in this movie.
But he really kind of needs Bucky.
But I think he needs somebody because
Joaquin Torres,
I did not like.
Did not care.
And I saw Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I forgot he was in it.
Yep.
This movie also needs you to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and it also needs you to remember
Eternals.
Well, not really. I mean, it
catches you up, but like if you don't know anything about it, it seems like a very weird thing. Like, really, there's a big monster coming out, and we're gonna mine it for metal. What is this?
Yeah. But yeah, because
you have to Incredible Hulk.
You have to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier to understand who Joaquin Torres is, or not really understand. Like the movie's like, here's all this exposition to get you there, but here's Joaquin Torres, and then who's like the new Bucky character, and then here's also Isaiah Bradley, and it's like, wait, who the fuck is Isaiah Bradley? He was the original Captain America. Wait, wasn't Captain the first Avenger? Whatever. Yep. And then. Also, it's like, hey, remember that movie from 2008 who we haven't really mentioned since 2008? Even though, like, Hulk's been in it, but it's by a totally different actor.
Different looking
bringing
Hulk.
Back all this information, so I hope you guys have all that locked up in there. But it's, so, like, that was kind of weird. I mean,
it didn't flash back to more scenes from that movie. Just like with the leader. They didn't show the stuff dripping in his head or anything like that. No fights on the grounds of the college. I figured they would have shown more. I mean, you see a little bit on the TVs, but I guess it's kind of nice that they rely on you to like, you got to just know your shit. Yeah. Don't come in here asking questions.
This shit. But anyway, I just thought Joaquin Torres was annoying, like as the comic relief, and just like the very first scene where he like meets Isaiah Bradley and he's just like busting this old man shop. He's like, oh, you need a life alert over there, old man, like that kind of stuff. I was like, fuck this dude.
Your boss has brought you to this dude for a reason, and you're just gonna start ripping on him. And then as soon as you're Isaiah Bradley, oh, I'm so sorry, sir, and like. No, like you're in the military. No one to shut the fuck up. That's part of being like a soldier.
I don't know. So I didn't care for him. I mean, I don't dislike that character necessarily, and I'm happy to like go on a journey if he's the new Falcon and whatever. But I just wish his character had more depth than just being like the cocky, handsome guy.
Yeah.
And the leader. was fine.
I hated the way he looked. He was goofy looking.
Yeah, he looked a little out of place.
That was TV show makeup, villain.
Yeah, just being the like, oh, I've been playing the long game for 20 years or whatever. It's like, well, why do we fucking care? Because we've totally forgot about you until like 5 minutes ago. And like, if it was a bigger actor, maybe that'd be more exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love that guy. He's in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Great actor. But it's like, I totally forgot you existed until you finally like revealed yourself on screen. Harrison Ford does not want to be in this fucking movie.
Are you serious? I think Harrison Ford's the best person in this movie. He's committed to this.
Oof. No,
Yeah. Oh, you're crazy.
Not that he's like putting on a bad performance. I just think like I never bought him as like wanting to be part of the MCU, wanting to really like be Thaddeus Ross. It seems like, he wanted to just. If you told me he wanted to sit in chairs most of the shoot, I wouldn't be surprised. Like
he's on that treadmill.
Harrison Ford is he's sitting on that treadmill.
Oh, that's right. It was a bike. Yeah, that's right. He's an old man,
which is fine. More power to him. I'm watching Shrinking. I think he's phenomenal on Shrinking. Love Harrison Ford. He's a Hollywood icon.
Yeah.
That being said, the whole time I'm watching, I'm just like, that's just Harrison Ford, and I don't think he really wants to do this. But anyway. But who I thought was great, who was totally underused, but they definitely teased, like, will he be back for future installments? Giancarlo Esposito as like the leader of Serpent Society for the 5 minutes he was on screen. Yeah, was he kind of doing Gus Fring stuff? Maybe a little bit, but I thought he was kind of badass. I enjoyed him.
What a waste of him.
That's what I'm saying.
And like, because the Serpent Society had characters like Diamondback and he's Sidewinder. They all had snake powers or snake suits, something. But then he's just a guy with a gun and a couple of knives. And like, I really want to see, what did the Serpent Society do? Were they just a quick, easy foil for Sam to stop? Because I just, it makes me mad that when it comes to doing those, what are they called when the fans see it, test audiences, they do it and they go, well, I don't like that Serpent Society, you should get rid of it. Okay, let's work on that. A bunch of people said they didn't like it. They take it out and they show a new version. They don't get that original group back to see if they made a better movie. They get a whole new one who knows nothing about that previous one. And it's like, well, that's kind of weird that there's not a lot of Serpent Society and you name drop them a bunch of times. It's like they need to focus better for their focus groups, because who knows who those people were that saw that first cut, and maybe it was like really fucking cool and they're just like a bunch of blue hair old ladies that just didn't understand it. Like, so I could tell this movie's kind of a mess, and the potential that was there, I miss, and hopefully more details of that will come out, because what this ended up being was just kind of lackluster.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people complain like the action scenes weren't all that interesting. I really enjoyed the dogfight scene, and I enjoyed the Hulk fight at the end, with the exception of how Red Hulk is defeated, which I thought was so fucking lame. I mean, how like the fight ended, I really liked. How it like fully stopped, I hated.
That's very much like Ang Lee's Hulk, where Banner's going crazy in San Francisco, and Betsy Ross shows up. Is it Betsy or Betty? Betsy Ross.
Betsy.
Yeah. She shows up and goes like, Bruce, calm down. And like, that's how you stop the Hulk, is you get him to calm down. But it was really corny. But like, remember that time when you would take your daughter on walks right here? Now you're destroying it.
But I mean, I'm okay with the Hulk being that, because underneath the Hulk is Banner, who like, has connections to humans, and hey man, sun's getting real low, and like bring yourself down. Where like everyone online was talking about how can a human being compete with a Hulk?
Yeah,
and they all talk about, well, actually the thing about Red Hulk is he gets really hot, and if you've seen the trailer, he puts his hand down and things start burning around him. So if Captain America gets him really, really hot, he'll overheat and then shrink down. It's like, okay, that could be an interesting fight. Part of the fight is how is he gonna like get him so angry that he basically implodes on himself? And that could be cool. But it's the same thing. It's just like, hey man, remember who you are.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then it's just over. Didn't care for that. CGI, is it great? No, but I think it was adequate throughout the whole thing. I didn't have
Well,
no.
through the whole thing, it's whatever. It's just
Yeah,
CGI. But I think the Hulk looked great.
Okay.
That is a good looking. Like you could tell that's Harrison Ford.
Mhm.
You could tell it's the Hulk. That was the. I don't want to say the best scene, but definitely the best special effects.
Um,
Can I talk about some of the worst special effects?
Go for it.
The very end when Betsy Ross comes and visits her dad. I don't think that's Liv Tyler. I think that's a deep fake on someone. I think they put her face on just some random actor because she's
Really?
through glass, through bars, and it just looked off. I'd have to watch it again, but I instantly got that uncanny valley. I don't think she was ever there.
Maybe I checked out, but I didn't notice anything weird about that. Oh, you know a character who we haven't talked about? The Black Widow character.
Yeah.
What a interesting choice.
Well, initially she was like this, like Israeli superhero.
Yeah.
And they were going to focus that. She was like the Captain America of Israel.
Mhm.
But with all the Israel-Palestine stuff going out, they're like, cut. That you could say she was an Israeli who went into the Red Rooms and was trained as a widow. So they changed her character completely. She had she's a named superhero in the comics, and they're just like, nope, can't have any of that.
It just, I mean, she was fine. Well, one thing I would have, so you had.
She was not fine.
Well,
she's the worst thing about this movie.
Let me get there. In terms of just like, it's fine that you have this character, but you have Sam's like undercover head of the Secret Service person, but then you also have this, there's like two heads of security.
Yeah. Why is
Cut out that other character, then you just have this Black Widow character, but I really don't know why she's in this movie.
Yeah.
Unless she like had a bigger part and they had to cut all that stuff out or around or whatever. Because I like the idea of like running into other widows, but she just felt so out of place in this movie, and I didn't think she had any chemistry with anyone. She didn't have it with Harrison Ford. She didn't have it with Sam and Joaquin. And she's so tiny. It just looked odd when she's next to people.
She's up to everyone's navel.
Yeah.
And she looks like she's 14, and they put big girl makeup on her, and it's like if she was a PA or something. We need any actor. She looked so out of place.
Yeah.
But I just don't buy her throwing anybody around, fighting anybody. She's out of place. Mix her with the other character, the black woman, and then make her like a flirty love interest with Sam. Just someone he could bounce off. Because, he does not have any good chemistry with even Isaiah or Joaquin. And then as soon as Bucky comes in, it's like, finally, someone who can bounce back and forth. Even though their comedy, I don't think was very good. It felt very improv-y. This movie needed him. And I know he's busy doing Senator stuff or Thunderbolts.
All right, well, let's talk about that scene real quick. I would say that's probably like one of the better scenes in the movie because you just love these two.
Yep.
And I get it. They've been around since, Bucky's been around since the beginning.
Yeah.
But Sam's been around
Winter
since
Soldier.
Well, Bucky was there before Winter Soldier. He was
I know, but Winter Soldier, that's where we've had both of them.
Yeah. So they've been there for 10 years. We've known these characters for 10 years. We like them together. They're Captain America's number 1 or number 2 and number 3 or whatever you want to call it. And so them just kind of being besties and boosting each other up, great stuff. But it's just we know you're here because you're here to make the fans happy, and then you're fucking off to the Thunderbolts movie.
Yeah.
But why the fuck would Bucky be interested in doing senator work?
I don't know.
And also, how would he... I mean, in this country, I would believe anything. And in the superhero world, you have to be even more believable.
He was blamed for Civil War and the death of T'Chaka for a moment,
This guy was a Soviet asset who did assassination missions against Americans.
Killed the Starks,
And they're just put him in Congress.
Yeah. Well, Wakanda took care of his brain. He's good. He's good.
The dude has a metal arm. He's... whatever.
Hey,
it's a superhero world.
If someone was nominated and they had a cyborg arm, I'd be like, all right, he's got my vote. He's cool.
America's nominated worse. Anyway, so that was just... I don't know. It's just weird. It's Bucky never seemed to have any interest in leading or politics or government,
could all be
especially like
phony.
after all the stuff that he's been through. Sure,
I mean, with
there could be some long game.
Julie Louis Dreyfus convinced him to do this, and like, look, you're just the face. Everyone loves your handsome face, and we'll do the stuff. You just back my plays. So he could be like a patsy. Who knows? That's why he's getting the Thunderbolts together, because he needs to clear his name, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think if the Hulk was in this throughout, that was the mystery thing. There's a big red Hulk rampaging through DC. Nobody knows who it is, and so we got to send Captain America on it. Captain America's getting his ass kicked, and so I need to restart the Avengers. This is that's his goal, not Ross's goal. It doesn't make sense for Ross to have that change of heart, because he has a change of heart, and then the moment he tries to get assassinated, instantly turns it back again. So it should be Falcon is finding, Kamala Khan, Cassie from Ant-Man, like some of the people who are supposed to be in the Young Avengers,
sure.
And like trying to get some of these people. Okay. Gathering up all these people, because
I have a pitch too, by the way.
We need to stop this rampaging Hulk thing. You could still have the Serpent Society in there, and maybe they do some of that stuff, but it just feels like we know Red Hulk is in this, and you have to wait until the last 20 minutes to see it. And there's nothing satisfying. And in the comics, who the Red Hulk was a big mystery. And then it turned out, oh, look, it's Everett Ross or Thunderbolt Ross. And I think that would be a fun thing to do. And even if he's still being controlled by the leader, he wants to ruin the presidency and everything. He doesn't know he's doing it. I don't know how he's getting out to go do Hulk stuff and getting back without anybody noticing. But there's like government tunnels, whatever, who cares? Or maybe the leader is in the cabinet working with them. Like, yeah, he's one of the reformed ones. He's helping us with stuff because he's such a genius, but he's, manipulating them the whole time. Like, it just felt like it needed something a little bit more. And I don't know if people will give a shit about, this Captain America starting a new Avengers after the fact. Because we have Secret Wars coming up and Doomsday, and we're going to have all these different multiversal things. When are we going to have the time to get the new Avengers? Is it going to be founded within those movies? I just feel like maybe going into those movies, we needed him to bring the Avengers back, and like, maybe it's not, Iron Man, but we got Riri Williams, and we don't have Ant-Man, but we got his daughter, and it's the best of what I can do. I don't know, something.
Yeah. I know that's been a complaint for a lot of people with the Red Hulk, is just the movie posits is like, what's the big mystery? Like, what's this all leading to? But like, we know what it's leading to. We know it's Ross as the Hulk. Like, that you spoiled the ending of the movie in the trailers. Yeah. Like, there's no, like, the big twist is like who is running the show behind the scenes, but it's a character we haven't seen in 20 years or 15 years and don't fucking care about. Yeah. So like, what does this matter? And you're introducing all these characters that none of us really like that much, which, maybe just the fault of the writers. But I mean, the movie has like 4 story writers and 5 screenplay writers. The director of this has directed like one movie or like just a couple things, but like the last movie was like 9 years ago or something. None of it was just like superhero or like led me to believe like, oh, this is the choice for this movie. Which, good for him for getting the gig. Like, more power to him, but I don't think he, what made the MCU so exciting was they were pulling in like either known names or names who had just come out and going like, we're pushing these new exciting directors. Yeah.
But not everyone could be the Russo brothers, Yeah.
But I mean, like Ryan Coogler had Creed come out, and they're like, and this is exciting, perfect Black Panther. Like, Fruitvale Station and Creed were both very good movies from an exciting new director, so it made sense to put him there.
But then, like the new Fantastic Four movie, it's like, this dude's been doing Sunny episodes. Why would you pick him?
Yeah, but I mean, the Russos were doing Arrested Development.
But not everyone can be that, It's like...
but the point is, like, they are picking exciting directors, where this one, there was nothing... Like, people shit on Eternals, but Eternals look good because you got Chloe Zhao to do it. So, I mean, I'm not shitting on this guy because I haven't seen his work, and, it could be really good stuff, so there might be a reason, but they were never like going like, oh, look who we got to do the new Captain America movie
Mm-hmm.
as like an added bonus, or like, you know who's writing the Captain America movie? This person who's super exciting.
Yeah.
There's none of that. It was just kind of like we're a money factory, we're a content factory. We
Mm-hmm.
got to push out a Captain America movie no matter what it looks like. Um, so here's my like light pitch of what this movie should have been.
Cool.
So because when they did the conference and said like, here's the new Captain America movie. Originally, like the thing was, oh, Captain America, Serpent Society, and the conference went on, and here's all the other movies that are coming out. And they're like, you know what? Something's not quite right about this. And then they changed it from Serpent Society to the
So-
New World Order, but they changed it to Brave New World.
Well, I
whatever it
think
was.
they used Serpent Society even for like Winter Soldier back in the day. It was like a placeholder so they wouldn't spoil that it was Winter Soldier.
Sure.
So it's like they just are using that just to tease us.
So I think you can still call this movie Brave New World, or you can call it Serpent Society, whatever gets them butts in the seats, fine.
Mhm.
But you have this movie be after the fall of Hydra. There's now space for like who is the new big deep threat to the American system. Hydra agents went underground, and now they've sort of branched off into the Serpent Society. The Serpent Society came in, killed all the Hydra members. Hydra doesn't exist anymore, and so now this new under Black Ops society or Serpent Society, it now exists, and there's been rumblings of them there, but no one knows how deep they really go. And so then you have your big action scene in the beginning where they run into Giancarlo Esposito's character, and they've been getting some intel on Serpent Society. So now it's just Captain America, stopping the next Hydra. It's like, oh, we've been down this road before. Maybe it's not that exciting of a idea, but Captain America is like the espionage thriller. He's our MCU James Bond or whatever the fuck. So we have that aspect going. Meanwhile, Falcon is, a new president's been elected. Do we have to worry about him being connected with the Serpent Society? Whatever. Or he puts him on this mission. It's like, when you bring down the Serpent Society, I want to talk about bringing the Avengers back and all that kind of stuff. Then he runs into Sidewinder and maybe some of the other Diamondbacks, or I don't know anything about the Serpent Society. So you just have this espionage thriller for like the first act, and then you get to your big sort of twist is, oh, the leader. You think it's Giancarlo Esposito who's like running the show, but it's like, oh no, like I'm the killer, I'm the muscle. There's someone above me, and then lo and behold, it's the leader. He's been pulling the strings this whole time.
Is he in prison or out of prison?
Who fucking cares? I'm not writing the movie. This is just the soft pitch if you want to include these characters. But you make the Serpent Society like the main focus for most of it. And Ross is like trying to help them. He's like, I don't want another Hydra situation. I don't want corruption in DC, the White House. I want to run this legit. And then the deeper they go, the leader's reveal is like, oh, I have one more contingency plan. The Serpent Society was a smokescreen I invented. It was never about like bringing down the White House. So it was about me like taking over the White House. And who can run this country better than the guy who can see, that can do all the math, who can run all the things. But obviously with my condition, no one's going to vote for me. So, but I just got to get the president out of the White House. And Falcon's like, or Cap is like, well, I'm going to bring you down. Ross is a good man now. He's changed. It's like, oh no, he hasn't changed. I made sure of that. And then, and in the trailers, you get none of the Red Hulk. You have no idea he's coming. And then boom, the big twist at the end, Red Hulk comes out. Oh shit, I'm just a guy. And that's the whole movie is Cap going like, I'm not the super soldier. I'm just a man. Like, how can I live up to Steve Rogers' glory? I mean, you kind of talk about that a little bit.
He does. It's like anytime there's a quiet moment, he's like, I don't know if I'm the man. Should I have taken the serum? And it's like, where did this come from? He just like brings it up out of nowhere a couple times.
Yeah, and Bucky can be in the movie or not be in the movie, whatever. You got to boost up Joaquin Torres, but make his character a little bit more interesting, and maybe have their dynamic a little stronger, and like why he likes him so much, and maybe he can be the opposite of Bucky, but whatever. Just make them.
I guess in the comics he actually has like feathered wings. Like someone mutated him with, because Falcon has a real Falcon, Red Wing, and they use the DNA from Red Wing and put it in Joaquin Torres, and he turns into like a bird person, and that's how he's the Falcon.
Interesting.
So what if like the leader, he's like, I'm really good at this genetic coding, and
I invented mutants.
The Serpent Society, he's giving them snake power.
Okay,
so
cool.
This guy's super strong. He's like a constrictor, and this one has venom. And
which would be like, I built the Serpent Society because I was doing testing, and like these are my failures, but my success is coming.
Yeah, and so you even do it to Joaquin Phoenix, where he's like, I'm the new Falcon. Like, oh, I'll make you the new Falcon, and he's just doing it to fuck with them. And then after he's taken down, like, Thaddeus isn't secretly a Red Hulk. He doesn't have it in him. It's just like his final contingency plan of, if you're going to take me down, I'm going to activate this and really destroy his reputation. All he did was go after Hulk. Now I'm going to turn him into the thing he hates the most. And it's just like a blow dart to the neck or something, you know, a little scrape. And then he's forced to turn into the Hulk and do the really hot one. So he's burning everything down. But yeah, don't mention any of that in the trailers.
Yeah.
But I think it would be fun, and that elevates it a little bit more. The Falcon is not just fighting guys with guns; these are mutated creature people, and that could add to his. Well, am I the right person? I'm just the dude in a suit. Should I be taking the serum? And he sees how good the new Falcon is doing with his mutated ability, and like, is it even worth me still doing all this? Like, you could add layers to it, and now this movie's kind of fun because you got weird mutant creatures in it, and it's not just guys with guns.
So then you get to the end, and then it's like, oh, the Red Hulk is here. And one of the things I really enjoyed about this movie is that it was someone who had a totally different power set than the villain. Watching Falcon like use his wings and stuff in interesting ways in the Shield against Hulk, I really like that stuff. Yeah. Now you could go around like, there's no way his wings would stand up to the blah blah blah. I didn't care about that.
It's vibranium. Come on,
vibranium. He could be a weaker version of the Hulk. He just got his powers. Whatever. Yeah. I don't care about that. I thought all that stuff was really fun. But then, so he takes down the Hulk, a Red Hulk. He makes him explode from overheating or whatever. And then, Captain America saved the day, and he did it without any powers. He is, Cap, and he's solidified himself as like a great leader. And he'll fight anything. He took down a fucking Hulk, and he's just a dude. Like, that's the guy who you follow into battle, and all the soldiers there are like, fuck yeah, man, like Cap. And so, Ross is in jail or whatever, or on the raft because he's too dangerous to like be in the presidency. They're like, will Captain America take over the White House or whatever? Like, no, we'll Bucky's in Congress. Maybe Bucky's the president now. Whoever the fuck.
It'll be Wilson Fisk.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Who's president is irrelevant.
Because we don't even ever see.
You can just see a dude like with his hand on the Bible. It's some character.
Yeah,
you never see.
Because we never see his vice president or anything.
Doesn't matter.
They could have added that in as like is he a bad guy?
Whoever's president is irrelevant. But then cut to credits. Everyone's happy. He feels good about himself, and then you get to the post-credit sequence, and then you see Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi, Star-Lord, probably Thor again. You get 5 character, or, however many you want, in a room together, and it's like, hey, you guys know who called this meeting? It's like, oh, I didn't expect to see you here. And then in comes Sam Wilson out of the shadows, and he's just like, I called you here. I'm here to talk about the Avengers Initiative. Back to the original thing, like he does the Nick Fury line. It's like, ooh, that tastes good. That's sweet. Maybe Nick Fury standing behind him, and it's like, motherfucker stole my line. Or some bullshit.
I think he's off planet right now.
Okay, whatever. Maybe Captain Marvel lands in there. Yeah. Whoever you want in the canon who hasn't been an Avenger. I mean, I know they all have in the Endgame or whatever to a degree.
But yeah, having like, hey, where has Shang-Chi been?
But like, show him like actively recruiting, but not just like go to one person who you like, oh, I kind of expected him. Like, no, like have them all in a group. Like, why would he waste his time going back and forth? Just like, hey, all you guys meet up here. I have a pitch.
Yeah,
And so
Doctor Strange can
it's a
teleport them.
callback to that great moment. They're
Mhm.
building the Avengers again. You get a tease of like all the characters who you haven't seen in a while. Like, oh, they're going to be in the new Avengers. That's
Mhm.
very exciting. Where is this going to lead into Doomsday? I think it would have been a really cool line to end the movie on, and seeing characters who you missed versus like this. I've done the math. Other worlds are coming.
Yeah.
What a boring
Yeah.
end tag. Like, just cut that scene in general.
Yep, that was
That does
really bad.
nothing. Like, we know other worlds are coming.
Yeah. It's Doom, it's Galactus, it's something like
Yeah.
whoop-de-doo.
Whatever the fuck. So I think that should have been like what this movie is.
That's a good tag.
Yeah. So that was I was most excited about the tag because I think that's a good tag. But the rest of the movie, I'm not smart enough to think about the undercurrents of political whatever. But there's something there. I think they should have leaned into Serpent Society, and then the surprise is the Red Hulk.
Yep.
But I mean, was Thaddeus Ross always Red Hulk?
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe everyone would have seen it coming anyway. But at least it wouldn't have been spoiled.
Yeah, but it's like people who know that the Winter Soldier is Bucky and the movie's called Winter Soldier, yay, Bucky's coming back. But for people who don't know that, that's a fun reveal. Yeah. Oh my God, that's his childhood friend. So for the normies, having him be the Hulk is a big surprise. Mm-hmm. For comic fans, they already saw it coming.
Yeah, so that's my pitch. Captain America, Brave New World, totally unoffensive to me. Didn't dislike it, didn't love it. It's just a perfectly mediocre movie.
Yeah. I'd say better than the Marvels for sure. At least Quantumania was weird. It had a lot going on and kookiness and visually interesting, even if ugly. But I don't know if it was a better story.
Yeah. I still haven't seen the Marvels, so I can't speak on the Marvels.
Oh, but God. That's embarrassing.
But I just want to give Anthony Mackie like credit. I think he is doing his best, and I think I do like him in this role. I didn't love the Falcon and the Winter show, but I do like him as Cap, and I will happily see more Captain America movies. You just have to make them interesting.
Yep.
But it wouldn't surprise me if we never get another Captain America movie.
Yeah, that would. The only time we will see Anthony Mackie again is in the next 2 Avengers movies, and maybe one more thing afterwards. He'll be the cameo guy now, where he just pops up randomly. But as a star of his own movie, I don't see it.
Yeah, if he just puts down the shield and then he becomes president in like later films, it's like that's kind of a fun idea. Like Captain America is running America, and the shield is like in the Oval Office between Washington and Lincoln or whatever.
And by then,
or like maybe it's just like Obama pictures everywhere. It's like gotta represent the guy.
Like Isaiah Bradley, we met him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and his grandson is only in like the one episode, but he becomes like Patriot, and he's part of the Young Avengers with Wanda's kids and everybody, Kate Bishop, all that. So like I'm surprised they didn't use him for this.
Thank you for bringing this up, because that's the other idea I had in my movie pitch is someone needed to die in this movie. It should have been Isaiah.
Yeah.
Isaiah's your tragic character. He was tortured, spent his 30 years in prison. He's finally out. He's kind of like a father figure-ish character, someone who's going like, hey man, like I was a super soldier. It's not worth it. Like have that relationship be like super important to Captain America, and then the Serpent Society kills him, or maybe Hulk is about to kill Captain America, and Isaiah comes in and is able to like jump in front of the punch or whatever. But it's he's an old man and
too much.
He dies. Like really, like Isaiah should have been the heart of this movie. So his death really launched. There could have been the emotional arc of this film, or at least the movie I'm pitching. And so because it's a character we don't need anymore.
No.
Not that I'd be happy to see that character continue, but if you're gonna like kill somebody off, you can do him and it would actually like hold weight more than Torres or whatever. Because you're not killing Bucky.
Yeah.
And so there's really no one else to really do, and you're not killing Torres because he's the new Falcon. Yeah. So I think that could have helped the movie as well. Just like kill that character who was just like a sweet old man who finally like got freedom And you know he's there. He's bleeding out, and just like, you know, I only tasted freedom for a moment, and
I wasn't even supposed to go to this thing.
yeah, you have to. You're American now, kid, and you know, taps him on the chest and then dies or whatever.
I mean, I could see him more being like, "Fuck America,"
or
you know?
yeah, sure. It's like this country failed Isaiah and people like him. I won't.
Yep.
And then that's why he's Captain America. And then there's that famous comic strip of that one like dude with the American flag like tattooed on his face, and I forget his like villain name, but he was just like some like asshole like racist merc or whatever.
He was in the what show was it? The girl detective, what's her name? The Netflix one.
Girl detective Netflix.
She was like she had superpowers. Jessica Jones.
Oh yeah.
God, he was on that.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
He didn't have the tattoo, but he was that character.
Gotcha. Okay. But it's a very famous comic book strip because he's like, Captain America goes to him and is like, hey, man, I'm the son of immigrants. And he's like, what? It's like, yeah, this country was like built, like you could have had any of that interesting stuff. But I get like, Disney doesn't want to touch immigrants in Israel and Palestine. I understand. But like, that could have been someone in Serpent Society who Captain America fights and is like, this is an ideal that represents America. Shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done rambling.
All right. What's next week?
The
monkey.
The monkey? Is that it? I thought there was...
I'm sure there's a second thing. But the monkey is the one I care about.
Hey, with the monkey, I'll see the monkey. Or we can watch Paddington in Peru.
Nope. Didn't even see Paddington 2.
Neither have I. The monkey, the unbreakable boy.
Oh, God. The unbreakable boy, yeah. Sean Levy. Is that his name? Shazam? What's his name? Sean Levy?
No, fuck, what is his name? Sean Levy's the director of... a bunch of...
Yeah.
Directed Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay. But you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zachary Levi.
Yeah. That guy.
But yeah, the monkey's next week.
Cool. All right. Well, if you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPLpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky. As always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And keep consuming.
But anyway, I did not shit in the tub.